Hello and welcome to AAII's A+ Investor Service. My name is Wayne Thorpe, the A+ Investor Program Manager and the Senior Financial Analyst at the American Association of Individual Investors. Let me begin by welcoming you and congratulating you for joining the A+ Investor community. You have joined several thousand other individual investors who are also striving to become better A+ level investors. This introductory video offers an overview of some of the most popular features of this powerful investment discovery, research and analysis, and tracking platform. So sit back and enjoy as I walk you through some of the key areas of the A+ Investor Service. AAII tracks over 60 different stock screening methodologies, and as an A+ Investor subscriber, you have access to daily passing company lists of these screening strategies. Here we see a listing of all of the stock screens tracked by AAII with performance data over a number of time periods. From this list, you can select an individual stock screen to see the current list of passing companies, an in-depth discussion of the strategy, and the specific screening criteria it uses. Another useful feature that you have access to as an A+ Investor subscriber is a listing of those stocks passing multiple AAII stock screens. So here we see that as of the end of December 7th, 8 stocks passed at least 5 of the AAII stock screens, with D.R. Horton passing 10 of the over 60 stock screens that AAII tracks. With more than 60 screening strategies to choose from, the Screen Power Rankings tool allows you to rank all of these screens based on performance over a number of time periods to gauge both the short and long-term performance of these strategies. You can rank these screens all at once, or you can isolate those that are based on the screening methodologies of Wall Street gurus, or those screens that use investment factors that have been shown to generate long-term outperformance. You can rank these strategies over a number of time periods, starting with year to date, going all the way up to 20-year, as well as since inception, which for most of these screens is from the start of 1998. You can also rank them based on the risk-adjusted return, risk index, which shows the variability of monthly returns relative to the overall market, as well as performance over the latest bear and bull market periods. As you can see then, you also can see the stocks that are passing, as well as a button to click all of the stocks that pass a given screen. So if we were to click the View All button for the Invest Where Quality Growth screen, we're then taken to a table that shows all of the 7 companies that passed the screen as of December 7th. The A+ stock grades, an exclusive feature of A+ Investor, provide an objective and systematic way to analyze stocks. These grades are based on 5 factors that have been shown to generate above average returns in the long run. These factors are value, growth, momentum, earnings estimate revisions, and quality. Not only do A+ Investor subscribers have access to A+ stock grades for over 6,000 US listed stocks, you can screen using the stock grade screener to isolate those stocks that have specific grades based on the factor or factors that are most important to you. You can screen the entire universe of 6,000 plus stocks, or you can screen against the current passing company list of any AAII stock screen, as well as the stocks that are in a portfolio that you may have created with the My Portfolio tool. You can also run screens against companies in a given sector or industry. So for this example, using data as of the close on December 7th, I created a screen that isolates companies in the entire stock universe that have a value grade of A, growth grades of C or better, a momentum grade of A, estimate revision grades of C or better, as well as quality grades of A. And from the universe of over 6,000 companies, this screen took us down to 13 companies. And then displayed below, you were given a table of all of the companies that are passing your screen. And this table is sortable based on the raw score or the grade for each of these 5 factors. When considering mutual funds and ETFs, performance is an important consideration, along with fees. The consistent performers lists that you have access to as an A+ investor subscriber show the funds and ETFs that have exceeded their category's performance over the last 3, 5, and 10-year periods, underlying the importance of considering both short-term and longer-term performance. So here we have the mutual funds that have outperformed their category over the last 3, 5, and 10 years. And with data as of the end of November, we have 1,414 funds that fit into this category. When looking at ETFs, out of the universe of roughly 2,200 in the A+ universe, 70 ETFs have outperformed their category averages over the last 3, 5, and 10 years. And both for the ETF and mutual fund listings of consistent performers, the tables that we provide are also rankable or sortable just by clicking on these different column headings. So amongst the consistent performers in the ETF listing, the iShares MSCI Netherlands ETF has generated an average annual return of 9.9% over the last 10 years. The Funds Plus and ETFs Plus screeners that are part of A+ Investors Toolkit allow you to winnow down the universe of thousands of open-ended funds and exchange-traded funds using predefined first cut screens, as well as gives you the ability to create and save custom fund and ETF screens for future use. So here we see the Funds Plus screener for the A+ investor. The first cut screens are loaded under the predefined screens. And we have dozens of these predefined screens for both mutual funds and ETFs. So if you are a mutual fund investor and you're looking for the hottest sector stock funds, you can select that screen from the predefined. And we can see that with data as of the end of November, we have 26 total mutual funds that pass this particular screen. Now, if you wanted to, you also could create your own mutual fund and ETF screens using a variety of data points. So here, for example, we have the fund type, returns, costs and fees, fund characteristics, purchase information, risk and volatility, and manager tenure. And again, you could also then create your own custom screens and save them, and then you can come back and use them and load them at a future date. Once you find an investment that seems promising, it's important to do additional analysis to see whether it's worth adding to your portfolio or keeping it. You can search for tickers using the search box that's at the top of every page of the AAII website. For stock investors, the A+ Stock Evaluator pages provide subscribers with a comprehensive collection of charting tools, fundamental data across a number of categories, such as valuation, growth, ratios, and financial statement data, as well as analyst ratings and earnings estimates data. All of this information can help you decide whether a stock is worth adding to your portfolio or whether you should continue to hold it. The Stock Evaluator pages also contain the A+ stock grades. But here, you can see the underlying variables that go into the calculation of each of the A+ stock grades. So for example, for DR Horton, which if you recall was the stock that is currently passing 10 of AAII stock idea screens, we see a grade summary of across all of the different A+ stock grades. So it has an A grade for EPS revisions, and then Bs across the board for value, growth, momentum, and quality. But beyond having those summary grades, if you scroll down the page, you then get to see the underlying variables that make up the calculation for these different stock grades. So for the value grade, this is actually based on 6 different valuation metrics: price to sales, price to earnings, enterprise value to EBITDA, shareholder yield, price to book value, and price to free cash flow. And you can see then what the percentile ranking is for each of these 6 variables, what the value is for D.R. Horton. So for example, as of December 7th, D.R. Horton had a price to sales ratio of 1.32, which ranked in the 35th percentile, along with then the overall rating for that particular grade. If you're interested in mutual funds or ETFs, there are also A+ Investor Fund and ETF Evaluator pages. These data analysis pages offer a variety of performance, risk, portfolio composition, and purchase information on over 2,200 ETFs and more than 25,000 open-ended mutual funds. These pages also offer A+ fund and ETF grades that indicate how a fund or ETF stacks up against funds in the same category for apples-to-apples comparison. It's important to remember that the grades are based on how a fund stacks up against other funds in the same category. For this reason, you may see a fund with much weaker absolute performance still have a higher letter grade than another fund because it has performed better relative to other funds in its category. So for example, we're looking at the Fund Evaluator page for the Vanguard 500 Index Fund, VFINX. Looking at some of the summary performance data that's available on this page, we see that the fund returned 10.9% for the last full month, and that rates a C. And it's important then to remember that that C grade is based on how it's performed relative to other stocks in its category, other funds in its category, specifically the large blend category as designated by Morningstar. So again, the 10.9% and the C grade is then therefore that the 10.9% basically was in the middle of the pack relative to other funds in the same category. Beyond looking at individual investments, it's also important to monitor your overall portfolio or portfolios. Beyond performance monitoring, knowing what your overall asset allocation is important so you don't become overweighted in a handful of stocks, or to make sure that your overall allocation doesn't deviate significantly from your own investment style. With the My Portfolio tool of A+ Investor, you're able to track your current stock, mutual fund, and ETF holdings. So we can see here that I've loaded my retirement portfolio, and you have a variety of data tabs. Right now we're looking at the snapshot tab, where you can see information such as current price, current market value, and the overall portfolio weighting of the individual holdings. But beyond this, you also have access to both stock grades, well, actually stock grades, ETF grades, and mutual fund grades, but this portfolio doesn't have any ETFs in it. But here it breaks down my retirement portfolio into stock holdings and mutual fund holdings, and you can see the different A+ stock grades as well as different mutual fund grades across some select performance, expense ratio, and category risks. Again, and all of these tables are sortable as well. The My Portfolio tool also offers a portfolio diversification analyzer. And with it, you can see how your asset allocation stacks up against aggressive, moderate, and conservative asset allocation models developed by AAII. So here we're looking at the asset allocation analyzer for my retirement portfolio. And even though I consider myself to be an aggressive investor, comparing my asset allocation across domestic stocks, foreign stocks, bonds, and cash, I am still overweighted in stocks, specifically actually overweighted in domestic stocks, but underweighted in foreign stocks, and underweighted in bonds relative to AAII's aggressive investor asset allocation model. Before I conclude this video, I also want to touch on some of the user resources that you have available to you to get the most out of your A+ Investor subscription. So if you go to AAII.com and look at the A+ Investor tab, you can see there is a variety of resources that you have access to. The first of which is the User's Guide, which will walk you through the main areas of A+ Investor to give you an idea of all of the different tools and resources you have at your disposal. You also have a Getting Started guide, which builds upon the User's Guide and offers even more detailed information on some of the most popular and useful features of A+ Investor. Lastly, as an A+ Investor subscriber, you will also receive a weekly Making the Grade with A Plus Investor email, which I pen and goes out every day Monday afternoons. So with this, it offers some educational information. So information on different topics related to stock investing, stock analysis, mutual fund, and ETF investing and analysis and whatnot. And you receive this every week. And so you get an overlying educational element to it. So tapping into AAII's investor education mission. And then also then it brings it back to specific tools and resources that are exclusive to A Plus Investor. So this concludes this A Plus Investor welcome video. But before you go, I just want to remind you that if you have any questions regarding your subscription, feel free to contact AAII Member Services at members@aai.com. In addition, if you have any questions specific to A Plus Investor, such as how to use it, or if you have any questions or comments regarding the A Plus Investor service, you can contact me directly at Wayne, W-A-Y-N-E, @aai.com. But for now, welcome to A Plus Investor and goodbye. But don't forget, you'll be hearing from me again in the next weekly Making the Grade email. Take care.